Okay, so good morning everyone again, and we'll continue with our next session for SQL. And today we'll just having like one lecture only, like one session. So during this session, what we'll do is we'll go forward with some additional keywords which we learned like in the similar session like yesterday, not yesterday, but like last session. Um, so where we stopped was when we were doing some keywords regarding select statement. And in that select statement, we utilize some of the common keywords like select. Then we utilized something like where condition. Then we utilize something like order by condition. So what we learned was using all these three keywords, we can basically retrieve data from any given table, and that data can be retrieved in any order which we want, as well as we can extract only the records which we want. So all these three were achievable using select, then where condition, and then order by condition. And then in the order by condition, what we learned was by default, your data set, like the result, is going to be in ascending order. And if you want to specifically sort the data in descending, then we have to specifically provide the option of descending, which is DESC keyword. So this keyword, which is a short form of descending, will help us retrieve the data in descending order. So moving forward after that, we have something called as wildcards. So let me zoom it a little bit. So wildcards in SQL. So just to give an example, right? Like let me first see what table we can create. So select, as per last time, we were having a table called as person. So create table person, and in that table we created two things. One was like name, which was varchar, and then another was age, which was integer. So first we'll create the table. Now in the same table, what we'll do is we'll insert some data. So insert into person, values would be, so the first value was, let's say, x, or like let's say person A, or let's say P1, and its age is 10. Similarly, I have another person P2 whose age is 15. Then I have another person P3 whose age is 20. And last person who is P4 whose age is 25. Okay, P2 happened. Then this is P3. Then this is P4. So basically what I did is I quickly created a table called as person, and in that table I've inserted four rows for four persons so that we can look at the data now, like select star from person. And if I run it, I should see four rows. So similar to that, let me create, not create, insert one more row, insert into person. values. This time I'll say A1 as the person name and then age is let's say 10 and run it. Okay. So now I have is totally 5 records which are stored in person table, which are these records. Now coming back to the wildcards, now to explain what is wildcard, it is basically a substitute which can be used for one or more character in a string. Now you won't understand the definition, but I'll just let you know like overall what it is. So it is basically used to substitute one or more characters in a string. Now what a one or more character is? That's the key thing which is being provided by wildcards. So just to understand more, right, like how it works, once we have an example, then we'll understand like how it works. So one of the type of wildcard is something like percentile sign. So this percentile sign is something called as a wildcard, and what it represents is it represents 0 or more characters. Now this is also a little bit confusing because we just got to know is until now what is a percentile character, and then it just represents one or more character. Now let's say we take an example now, and in my example I have is these list of rows which contains from P1 to P4 names and then A1 as the name. Now let's say I just want to retrieve rows from this table whose name starts with only P. So I basically want to find names. Let me write an example here itself. Find names from table person whose name starts with P, which is character P. So in that case, what we see is only these 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 should be displayed, and this last row, which starts with A, should be ignored. So overall, I should have is just 4 rows. So how do I do that? So for that, we can utilize this something called as a percentile character, which is called as a wildcard. Now, how it will work is select star from person, then I will give a where condition where then I will need is the column name, which is name, which is nothing but this column name. Then there is a like condition, like, then I would have is single quotes, and in these single quotes, I would say a percentile sign. Now this is little bit incomplete now. Now based on our example, we need to find names from this table person whose name starts with P. So since it should start with P, I will say it should start with a character P before the percentile sign, which is like select star from person where name like P. And after P, we will put a percentile sign which indicates 0 or more characters. So then now we know what is 0 more characters. 0 or more characters is nothing but any number of characters which will come after P. So we, for example, we have a name which starts with P, and then we can have anything which starts after that, like P0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever number it comes, it will pick those kind of rows. Now, if I run this, then you'll understand I will just get is only 4 rows, which starts with name column having names first character starting with P. Run it, I'll just say what I'm seeing is only 4 names P1 to P4. That's all. And these names So these names, first character is starting with P, and the next one are like the digits, which are 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the use of this wildcard. So since we use this symbolic character to showcase like or pull up the rows where we don't know like what should be the exact output we want, we can say like, okay, I just need to search all the names who start with P. Now let's say I just need to find all the names who starts with P1. So I can just say P1 and then percentile. And if I run it, I will get only a row which contains the name as P1 and then the corresponding age of it, which we don't need. So this is how this percentile sign, which is called as wildcard, works. Now, there are like few more characteristics of this percentile sign, but this is just like one of the example which we saw regarding this percentile, where percentile represents zero or more characters. Now here again, if we go by this definition, what it says is our name can have P1 as the initial two characters, and later on it can have any characters from A to Z, as well as numbers from 0 to infinity. So we can have anything after that, and it will still pull up this record. So since my example here was I need to find all the names who starts with P, I'll do P star, and I'm getting is all these 4 rows. So let me just copy a table so that we can store it here in the notes. Insert. So this was nothing but our name, then age P1, P2, P3, and P4. Age is nothing but 10, 15, 20, and then 25. Okay, so this is our output. If we say it should start with P, and the example was how do I write a query? So query was nothing but my this query where I write select star from person where name like P percentile. Now it all can come on a single line itself. That is also fine. Now moving forward to another characteristics. Now let's say I want to find all the names of the people who are ending with character 2. So if I say right now, if I remove this and if I do select star, so this is my whole list of names. And I want to find names whose ending character is with 1, let's say. So if you look at this list, we have is two names who are ending with character 1, which is P1 and A1. So how do I pull that these two rows out of this data set? So to use this, again, we'll use this percentile wild character to retrieve that. Now, how we'll write is the same way. Select star from person, where, then I'll write name, like, and then single quotes. And inside the single quotes, I was saying is I need to find names who ends with 1. Now, since it should end with 1, I will put my percentile sign before 1. So this represent percentile sign means 0 or more characters which will occur before your 1. So now in this case, we have 0 or more characters which are occurring before 1 is this name and this name, because before this 1 character, we have 0 or 1 characters which falls in this P and A. But in a previous case, it was P which was occurring at the start. That means I am trying to find all the names which starts with character P, and afterwards it can have any number of characters. But over here, I'm saying is any number of characters should happen, but the last character in the name should be 1. And this is how we can retrieve the data. So if I run it, I'm seeing P1 and A1. So this way, this percentile sign, which is a wildcard, helps more for searching functionality within our data set. Now just imagine you have like almost millions of rows, and in that you have multiple names which are common. Then you want to find out some names who are starting with a certain character or ending with a certain character. Then you can find in this similar fashion using wildcard. So this is my example number 2, where I'm saying is find all the names from the person table whose name ends with 1. And the query is nothing but this one, where I'm saying 1 should be coming at the end and the percentile should come before 1. So that my data will look like P1 and then A1 and then age is 10 for this, and these two rows will not come. So we can delete these rows. So this is how we'll retrieve these two rows. So this is my first example. This is my second example. First example was nothing but I'm trying to find out names starting with certain character. Second example is trying to find names which are ending with a certain character. And for both of these situations, we used this percentile sign. And the difference was where to place that percentile sign, either before the character or after the character, that we have to decide. Now, these two are like end cases. The another example would be, let's say, I want to find out names which contains a common character. Again, if I go here and if I say, okay, I want to find names, let's, since these are two characters, let me do one thing. Select star from person. Okay, so this is my new table now, where I've just updated some names. Just ignore the update statement which I run. We'll continue that update statement learning afterwards. So now after these two scenarios, what scenario remains is I need to find out some names which contains a certain character. Now that certain character can be either at the start or it can be at the end or it can be anywhere between start as well as end. So how do I find such names? So for example, I need to find out names which contains 1 in it. Now, how many names in this list has 1 in it? It's 3 names, this one, and this one. Now for first and the last, we see 1 is in the middle, but for the second one is at the end. So we need to pull such names which contains 1 in it, and that position of 1 can be any place, like either at the start or at the end or in between. So for that, how can we retrieve such records? Now we can retrieve such records again using this percentile sign, which is a wildcard, and the query would be almost same, which is like the first two queries. Now the difference here is where name like, and in this one, what we'll say is I need to find name which contains one in it. Now I need to consider all the two scenarios. Now for the first scenario, what I'm saying is, okay, so it should be anywhere. So what I can say is it should either start with one. So that means one star. This indicates I'll find out all the names which starts with one. Then I can find out some names which can end with one. So I will basically place these percentile sign before and after of the certain character so that it covers all the whole scenario. Like it can be at start or at the end or anywhere between that. So using this condition like double percentile signs, we can find out names. If I run this, I will see three rows are retrieved where it contains one in it, and the position of one is anywhere, like it can be at middle or it can be at the end. So that doesn't matter. So this query is nothing but like addition of last two queries, where last query first one was trying to find out certain character which starts with it, and then certain character which ends with it, and then trying to find certain character which contains it. So using this symbol, basically we can find out any names and which covers this scenario as well as this scenario. But it will pull up some rows which are not required. So just to get specific rows which we want, we have to specifically provide the formula over here. So what this third example was saying is find names which contains find names from table person whose name contains one. And the query is this one, where we'll place the character before and after the required character. So my output over here becomes P10, then A10 is the last one, and then the next one is P21, which is another row, and its age is 50. So this way we understood like how wildcards are important for retrieving such records from our dataset. And it's nothing but like utilizing this symbol for retrieving all the characters. So now if we go back to the definition, we can understand now like percentile indicates it represents one or more characters. So this percentile, we can assume like it can have one or more characters at this position, as well as at this position, we can have one or more characters. And then if we go back to the definition of wildcards now we can understand is it is used to substitute one or more characters in a string. And that's how we can use this wildcards for retrieving the data. So this is one of the important concepts within SQL for retrieving it, any kind of data which are like specific to the filters. Now, if you move to another concept, the another concept is called as distinct. So now distinct is again a keyword like where keyword as well as order by keyword, which we understood before. So first thing, let me see if the data is correct for me to explain distinct. No, okay. Let me update the data. Update person set P3. Okay, so I have re-updated my data. So what in my data I look is there are, okay, so 1 second before that, P10, okay. So now I have a data set, and in this data set, I see like there are two rows or like two names which are identical, which is this one P10, and then the next one is also P10, and their age is also 1010. So when I say about distinct keyword, it's nothing but like a pure English. What I'm saying is using this distinct keyword, what we can do is we can retrieve the records which we want and only the distinct ones. For example, now these are like two duplicate rows. First and the third row is duplicate. And instead of showing these two rows in my output, like the select query, if I run it, I'm seeing there are 5 rows. And in these 5 rows, there are 2 rows which are duplicates. First and third is duplicate. So I don't want to show like duplicate data in my final output. And in order to avoid those duplicates, I can use this a distinct keyword. So basically, what is the definition of this distinct keyword? It basically gives unique values from final result or final data set. And the other use, what we can say is it eliminates duplicates from data set. So if you're saying if how it eliminates duplicates from the data set, how can I eliminate the duplicates from here? So to eliminate the data sets duplicate, we just need to use this. First, all the list of columns which we want. So I can say name, then age. First, provide all the columns from my table, and I'll rerun it. Again, I'm saying 5 rows. Now the only keyword I need to add distinct is over here, distinct name, comma, age from the person. And if I run it, I will see only distinct rows because P10 was the row which was having 2 entries. And using this distinct keyword at this position before that column, we eliminated the duplicate which should not be seen. And that's the reason we are seeing only single row for our output. So this is how as easy as it is to utilize this distinct. So distinct is nothing but like to eliminate duplicates. And how do I eliminate duplicate is nothing but just purely use that distinct keyword column for the required column. Insert row below so that I can see if P4 is my data and 25 is age. So this is how the distinct keyword works. Now just imagine a real world scenario. We have a list of students in a college, and in certain, since the college is pretty huge, it contains like let's say 1,000 students. There would be many students who contain same names, like the common names. Now, while I'm showing the report to someone, and there is no need to show all the duplicate names, even though they're like in different class. We just want to show is all the unique names which are present in the college. So for that case, I can use select distinct name from college so that I'll just see all the distinct names or the unique names which are present in the college. So that's how useful this distinct keyword is. So now we'll move forward to the next one, which is called as operators. in SQL. Now, since we understood something like operators in Python, this is also similar to that, where the keywords provided in SQL are nothing but like and keyword, then or and not keyword. So these are the three keywords which are specifically provided within SQL for us to utilize them. Now, if you recollect again, these three keywords were used in Python for in a given condition, like in any given condition we use, like if followed by a condition, and in that condition, we used to utilize these keywords like and, or not. Same way, we will utilize these keywords, but since we don't have if within SQL right now, what we'll have to use is in the where clause, the where clause which you understood like after the from statement. So once we go into each and every example, you will understand how to use this and, or, and not clause. So the first one is called as and, which is nothing but like a and condition, which is like an addition if you say, and it is basically used to display records if all conditions mentioned are true. Now we'll try to get into that understanding afterwards. So how can I showcase you an example so that you'll understand what we are saying and how to use this and keyword? So again, we'll run this select star from person so that we can see the data set again. Select star from person. If I run this, I'm seeing all the list of names. Now, let's say I want to find example like find names from person table who have names equal to P10, which is the first row, and age equal to 10. So looking at this question itself, you will understand like, okay, I want to find a record from this data set. And in order to find the record, I am using two conditions. The first condition is the name should be P10, and the second condition should be age equal to 10. So how do I write a query for it? So the query would be again same select query, select star from person, and what I'll write is where name, which is the column name, equal to in single quotes P10, and which is this keyword which you are looking for, like the operator, and age equal to. Here I don't need to use single quotes because it is a number, and the reason I use single quotes is because it's a string, and this will help me give the data set. If I run it, I will see two records because these are like duplicates. So this is how we can utilize this and keyword. So if we look over here, what the syntax says is, syntax is nothing but select star from table, which is my any table, where condition 1 and condition 2. So if my both these conditions, first condition and second condition is true, then only retrieve me those records. So since I said age should be 10, which is present, and then P10, which is name, is present. So since these two conditions are matching, that's why I'm getting the data set. But if I say, let's say name equal to P10, but age equal to 15, and if I run it, I will not get any rows because we don't have that row. And that's where this is true, but the second condition is false. That's the reason we are not seeing the data. But if we say age equal to 10, that means both of these conditions are satisfying for these two rows. And that's why we are getting these two rows. So it's nothing but like utilizing this keyword to work upon multiple conditions. Now I can again add more conditions if there were like more columns, like any more column like address. So I can write address equal to, or like city is equal to, let's say Mumbai, then it will help me again narrow down my options. So in this case, all the condition like condition 1, condition 2, condition 3 should be true. Then only that record would be retrieved. And when it will be true, it will true when the record which we have is matching with the condition which we gave. So it's basically like finding out records within my result based on these conditions. Same way, similar to and, now you can understand like what is this or condition. So or condition is nothing but it will display records if any conditions mentioned is true. Now again example would be, let's say I want to find a name whose, let's say we can put a example like this, and we want to find a name from the person table whose name starts with P10 or age is 20. In this case, when we put and condition and age 20, we don't get the data, right? But now here what I'm saying is I need to find names from the person table, which is this person table, whose name should be P10 or age should be 20. Or rather than saying 20, let's say 25. So this is my query. Now, how do I write a query for this? Again, select star from person where name equal to P10 or instead of and I'll write or now because this is for or, and age equal to 25. Now what will be the data here is data I will see is this row, which is the first row because name is matching with this condition. And since we are using or, our either one of these conditions should be true for every row. Now if I go to first row, my name is P10, but age is 25. Even though this age check is failing, but name is passing, we will get this data set like data for the first row. Now second row name is not matching as well as age is not matching. So since both of them are not matching, we will not get it. Third one, again it will match because it's same as the first one. Fourth one, name is not matching because P10 and P4 is not matching, but age is matching. So since one of the condition of age is matching, we'll get this row also. And lastly, for this row, we'll not get any match because it's not matching for age as well as name. So overall, we will get is three rows now. First row, third row, and the fourth row. If I execute, I'm getting three rows because either one of the condition is matching for these rows. So P10 is matching with name for first two and age is matching with the last one. So this gives flexibility to add a check of or condition so that we can retrieve few more rows based on like certain condition. So now here my send query would be select star from person where name equal to P10 or age equal to 25. And for the first one, it was P10 and age equal to 10. And instead of or, it was a and condition. So this is the query. So if you look at the first syntax over here, now what will be the syntax for the OR condition? Syntax would be same. The only difference is instead of this AND keyword, we will write OR keyword so that it works accordingly. Now remains is the last one, which is the not keyword. Now not keyword is nothing but like a negation operation, not keyword. So what it does is same way as we understood like in Python or any other language, like not keyword is going to do is it is going to display records if given condition is not true. Now what are we saying exactly here? So before we going over there, let's take one example now. So again, if I run select star from person, I will see all the data. Now I need to find out rows from this data set whose name is not P10. So since I'm saying I need to find data from this rows whose name is not P10, that indicates I need to pull the second row whose name is P21, then P4, and then A10, because these are the three rows whose name is not equal to P10. So how do I pull those rows? So again, we'll use the same thing, select star from person, where name equal to P10. And now looking at this, it is going to retrieve me record whose name is equal to P10. But since I don't want to pull this record, I will place this not keyword here, not name equal to P10. And if I run it, I'm seeing the other rows whose name is not equal to P10. But if I want to retrieve names whose name equal to P10, I will remove this and run it. I will get names equal to P10. And the data where I don't want name equal to P10, I will place not so that I'll see the other rows. So this way we can try to find out records which we want or not based on the given condition, like display records if given condition is not true. So syntax here would be select star from table where not keyword and then my given condition, any condition which I want. So example would be this same one, select star from person where not name equal to P10. So this will help me utilizing all these three operators provided by SQL. I can give certain conditions, which can be one or many, and those one or many conditions can be utilized in this case also, like not name equal to 2. And again, I will give one more condition like not age equal to 15, that way. So here I will using two conditions like name is not equal to P10 and age is not equal to 15. So I can utilize many more conditions. Now, what we understood from these operators is these three operators are not like using single-handedly like this, like in a given query like this, right? Where we had this first query, it is only using this is a query. So in this first example query, it is only using AND keyword. So SQL doesn't say like you have to use only AND keyword and not use other keywords. In addition to this, we can use other keywords also like or age equal to 15. Then we can give multiple keywords. Then we can again give not conditions also. So what it says is you can use as many number of times all these three operators in your given query. And in order to identify the exact logic, now since I used age here, right? Like age should be either 10 or 15. So I can provide as a bracket so that it's easier for me to understand. Okay, so I have two conditions. First condition is name equal to P10 and age would be either 10 or 15. So I can get according to that conditions, I can use these keywords. Then again, in addition to that, I can utilize not keyword also, not age equal to 10. So this way it won't even return anything because this condition will help exclude the rows which we are getting. So this hierarchy and cascading of these operators are upon us how to implement that and then how to segregate them. Because if you don't put brackets, then SQL might fail in giving the certain data sets. Now, since here we put the brackets here, it helps SQL understand, okay, so this is one condition, this is second condition, and it will evaluate accordingly. So that's the complete final thing on operators in SQL. So I think this is end of our for like this today's session. So before even like ending the meeting, do you have any questions?
So can the conditions be used in nested form?
Yes, yes, we can put in a nested form also. So nested as in you mean like this first condition, we can again put in brackets like this also. This will also work.
Okay, sir.
So it's basically like any other pure mathematical formula which we write and utilize these brackets for any mathematical formula. We utilize the same kind of format where your bracket gets the first precedence, then your addition like and gets the first another precedence, then or like that. So it's basically same like our mathematical precedence formulas. These brackets are utilized. Any other question?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll end up the session now, and then we'll continue in our next session on like further more topics. Okay, thank you everyone.